Alrighty, so going to be taking apart my PC case. This is actually more of a CyberPower than any of my other ones. It has most of the parts. I've been using this one for quite a while now. It's part of my $350 build, but then I switched out the processor to an i5. So first things first, there are going to be several screws on the back depending on what kind of case you're using. This one has had two on the back. It is pretty beat up, and then there's also two over here. As you can see, there's one right there. Other sort of cases will have the four screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you just want to remove it. So if you do have fans on the side like this one, it will be plugged into your motherboard, la-di-da-di-da. So don't need that anytime soon, so put it off to the side. Now this case is perfectly fine for somebody that doesn't put it inside their desk, but sadly I put mine inside my desk, so it was getting incredibly hot. First things first, I like to take apart the power supply first. So let's do that. So I know that I'm going to have trouble getting this off, so I'm going to use a pair of pliers. I have no idea why I used this in the first place. I had the same screws. I think I just had this one literally in my hand. So I was like, oh, I'll just use that. Which was dumb because it is impossible to take apart. See all the cat hair getting in there? I had problems getting the heat shield in with this PC. But I will make sure to get in my friend's. I'm trying to do a build for him for cheap. So I'm selling him a lot of my parts, including giving him this case for free. So that way it will definitely keep down the cost. So now, you can see over here, I didn't do too well of cable management considering you can see that it's all like that. Next thing's next, going to be taking apart the power supply. So take your magnetic wrench, screwdriver, just get them out. I highly recommend using a magnetic tip, and wooden handle or rubber handle is more preferred for static electricity. You don't want to use straight metal on metal. After these two screws are out, be good to go. Should be flipping that to the off position. I forgot to, but this thing has been unplugged for about an hour. Definitely had no power left. So now this is all free moving. Start off with taking out the CPU one. Check. Take out the motherboard one. Sometimes have to be a little bit aggressive. Can't be too friendly with these things, but you also don't want to be way too aggressive. You can feel if it actually is coming out and when it's not. Remove this and this. Is this hooked up to a fan? Yeah, it is. Wonder why I did that. Pull the hard drives out. Pretty much threw this together in an afternoon, so there are much better ways to do it, much cleaner. Let's get this power supply out of there, slowly but surely. Still have one connection at the back. Unplug that. And now unplug this. It's nice with having a case like this, it's pretty easy to actually get the power supply out. I like getting the power supply out first because it's usually most of your cables. Follow this thing. I don't think it's still connected to the power supply. There is half the cables out of the way. very strange. Oh, it's an adapter. I didn't even know I owned this thing. Keep that with this case because I'm obviously using it for a reason. Put the power supply off to the side as well. Next, let's get out the delicate parts that you don't want to mess around with. Alright, gonna have to take over with the old cell phone, which I didn't want to do. The GoPro ran out of storage, so I'm gonna have to set up these videos a little bit differently. And I don't have an extra SD, and I can't find my SD adapter anywhere. I haven't been able to find it for a couple days. Alright, so next I unplugged my hard drive, so now I can easily just slide this in. Doing this with one hand is going to be a little bit tricky, but I should be fine. So I'm going to just leave that there for now. Next thing's next. I'm going to take out the graphics card. So first things first, I'm going to actually loosen the two bolts. Just because this graphics card has a different hookup than all my other motherboards. So first things first, loosen. This is when the magnetic screwdriver really comes in handy. See, ta-da, very simple. Next one. One hand. And a little bit more. Come on, connect. Come on. Here, actually, I can just set it up like this. Use the old hard drive. Set up my old phone like that. There you guys can actually kind of see what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna lift that up just to get the screw out. So now the graphics card is pretty heavy. This one has a little switch up top, and I'm just gonna push. I'm fairly certain this might be the only motherboard that has that. It sucks. All the other ones is a easy push tab. So now graphics card off to the side. It's got a weird push tab right here. So rather than pushing it in, you push down for it to release. It's the weirdest setup. It's not a terrible motherboard by any means. It could be a lot worse. Next, we're going to be taking out. Wow, that's not even hooked up. Good for me. Taking out the CPU cooler, the heat sink. Has plenty of thermal paste. I just don't think it was pressed down hard enough. And then remove that. Actually, it kind of looks like there might be too much thermal paste. Take a quick little look. So maybe, and also has a ton there. Maybe I did a little bit too much. Anyways, I'll leave that off to the side as well. Next is taking out the RAM. Just gonna unplug these. So the RAM is pretty simple. This one only lifts up from the top. Sometimes it lifts up from both sides, so it just has a little tab. Usually, with most motherboards, the bottom one opens up too, but not with this one. And we're gonna lift them and then pull straight out. Usually the sticker goes to the outside. That is how you most of the time know the stickers on the side go to the outside. For when you go to pull back in and out. Does it say what speed this is anyways? Because I bought 2,600, but for some reason, yeah, it says it right there. $2,666. But for some reason, it won't go up that high for me. Next, I'm going to do the standing up. is removing these wires. Make sure you guys can still see. So just easy pull. Now if this happens, like mine always does, for some reason, it took the plastic with it. So I'm just going to pull it off, put it back on. That is not supposed to happen ever. It was just not glued on right from the factory. Next, move these, the HD audio, pretty much all done. Now go after each of these screws, and then all the power buttons, which is actually easy, you just pull it. Loosen. Oopsie. So I'm just loosening all the cords, or sorry, all the bolts hooking up the motherboard. I remember there being quite a few of these where I had a lot of trouble getting screwdriver into the proper place. Alright, so flipping upside down was the best way for me to get to this thing. And changing out the screwdriver to a smaller one. There. Now this is 100% out. Just gonna pull it straight up. Shot to loose that screw. There, now motherboard is out. Graphics card is out. Hard drives are out, so I'll need to remove it from that. But that is essentially all you have to do. It doesn't take very long. It maybe took me 15 minutes, not even.